Welcome everybody to episode 72 of New Game Experience. I'm sitting here, as usual, with the person who is communicating by sign language right now, Christian Caroli. How?
What's up? I'm doing well. No, just kidding. I don't know any sign language. But it sounds like something a culture would say to be like, well.
Well, this, in the music community...
It's like stop, right?
Yeah, it's stop, exactly.
I remember that from Whiplash.
Exactly.
Not quite my tempo.
Not my tempo. And speaking of not my tempo, John, how are you?
Fine. All good.
Good. Well, gentlemen, before we reveal, although it's kind of stupid because we know what we're talking about. People who click the video already know because it's in the title. But I'm still going to try to elongate this intro as far as I can because that's why we're podcasters, right? So I just want to share with you a little story about something that happened on Monday on this shoot that I was working at. So I was talking with this director and he was like, so we interviewed somebody who was talking about how nowadays we have to limit how much youngsters have access to social media, technology, cell phones, blah, blah, blah. And then of course, he mentioned video games, so I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the video game thing came up.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, what are you saying?
And so after when we were having lunch, the interviewee had gone already, and the director was saying like, wow, this guy was like a real Nazi about this whole non-technology thing, but maybe he did have a point about the video games because I don't know, like I have a 10-year-old son, and he's always on the iPad or blah blah blah. And
what a pleb. I would have been like, what a pleb of a son you have.
You call that video games? The fuck?
Yeah. So this is what kind of inspired me to talk about the subject that we're here to talk about, which is kind of personal responsibility or gaming responsibly, which sounds kind of ridiculous because when you hear that, it's kind of like drink responsibly. It's kind of like with actual drugs or actual things that kind of affect your ability to operate machinery or something like that. But we still could have that conversation because my conclusion with him, I knew that I wasn't going to change his mind. I also didn't want to do that because that annoys me, frankly. But he did have a point because there is a side of gaming that kind of focuses on designing all of the rewards that we get in the video games to keep us there as long as possible. And I think that this kind of veers more towards freemium games, mobile games and stuff like that. That's why he was kind of talking about the whole iPad / mobile thing. But I think that there is still an interesting conversation to be had here. So I just wanted to start with you guys on your childhoods, because that's where all of our problems begin. So let's begin with John. John, how did you handle gaming responsibly when you were a child?
I did not. I didn't have any type of control or restrictions about playing video games. I could play video games all the time I want. My mom was never the type of person saying, hey, you couldn't play this, you couldn't do this. Like, not at all. Like, to be fair, I spent most of my childhood alone because she was a working mother. I was, that single kid type of, not single kid, how you call it? Like
only
single
child.
raised, or raised by my mom child. Yeah. So she was not at home most of the time. So since I was like 9-10 years old, I was staying alone in the house. So I could pretty much do whatever I want. But I do, even though I was a really shitty student, because I was, and that's nothing to do with video games, it's just because I found schools really boring. But I did manage to do my things. I was responsible to the point that, hey, I'm going to do this, my things, because that will make my mom happy. And honestly, that wasn't the only reason. Like, I don't want to put more bullshit on my mom. She's already doing shit. So, let me do what I can. So let me do my homework and everything like that. I didn't have any restrictions at all. I did at some points that she called like a friend of hers to like take care of me because she has to go away for like jobs for longer. Like she has a meeting somewhere or a business trip, whatever. And so I remember this lady saying things like, after I done all my chores and so I was playing with my Super Nintendo, whatever the fuck was back in that day, saying like, "Hey, you need to stop that. Why don't you go and watch TV?" And I was like, "Bitch, the fuck! Like, what is the difference of like I'm playing video games or watching TV? How one is more healthy than the other? It's the same thing. I'm messing up my eyes either ways. If that's the health thing." But yeah, that I think I remember that those were the only times, and I remember saying my mom like, not what the fuck, I was a child, but like, what
What the
was
fuck,
doesn't make
buddy?
any sense. That's one
This
thing. Like for
is
me, it was like,
reproachable.
yeah, I was like, doesn't make any sense for me why they are restricting me from playing video games and not from watching TV, which I don't give a fuck. Plus, that lady was watching like soap operas and shit like that, which is way more toxic for a child than video games. But yeah, like that, I honestly didn't have that. So yeah, I don't. But again, just what you say. Like back in the day, there were no um, there were no this freemium or this addictive type of video games. I did there. You cannot even play online when I was a child. So yeah, I didn't live through that part of like that affects me right now that I'm an adult. So, but yeah, no,
Okay.
not at all.
And how about you, Christian? How did you deal with this whole thing?
I mean, I've always been like incredibly addicted to this thing, especially because I was again like I was like an only child until I was 15, and then I was just like already addicted. And I think that I was always like a really good student. So I don't know. I think like I always had kind of like I would get my homework out of the way, and then I would just go and play video games, and that was kind of like that's been how I've been doing it like my whole life. I don't think that I have like ever like how can I put it, like endangered something because I was directly playing video games, or at least something like very important. I do think like sometimes like some games have taken over like a lot of like my free time and like a lot of my time in general, even until like last week. And definitely like I think it fucks up kind of like my health, in the sense of like the sleep schedule for me is not super fixed, and I do get to miss out on like I don't know doing something else. So but I don't know, I think I try to keep it balanced as much as I can, but it's definitely like a lot more time than most people spend. So I don't know how to make it with that. But I have, unlike I think both of you, I have played mobile games.
True.
So I do see the patterns, and sometimes the things like I work on that industry, so I kind of know what they're going for, which is my money, and I kind of like see the paywalls and like, oh, here you need to put money, and like there's only so much money that you can put that it will make the game fun again. And I think that, for example, I think like one of the games that I played the most have been games from Supercell, like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, Boom Beach. And these games, they're fun. Like they're really, really, really high quality, good games. But there is a point in these games where, like, if you spend money, if you're willing to spend money, you're gonna have a lot more fun. like
Okay.
it's the skill versus like money thingy. Like there comes a point where you like really need to grind, when you really need to you need resources, and it makes a difference, like because like time is kind of like limited. So I don't know, like those experiences are, I wouldn't say like they're bad, but they definitely feel predatory, and you understand what they're going for, so it's quite a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but I do think now that you bring Clash of Clans, I have a big example about Clash of Clans in my father. Like he's been playing Clash of Clans for the last 10 years.
You told me about this, right? He's
He
like
has spent no money at all in the game. He's one of the top.
Wow.
Like he has
what a chat,
everything,
what a
everything. Like
chat.
he's like top player. I don't know whatever the fuck that's called there. Like he's on the rankings and shit. He has never paid anything on that game, and it's like he said, yeah, I need to wait for the 5 days. Okay, then I let the game there, and I don't play for 5 days, and when it's done, it's done. I don't care. Like I have my job, I have my other things to do, so I'm not. So I think it depends, maybe a generational thing, or I don't know what it is.
No, no,
We
no.
live with
I
the
have friends that they do that. I have friends that they haven't spent a single dime in Warzone, and they play Warzone like non fucking stop every day for hours. So
yeah. But for example, Warzone, you don't really need to spend money. Like you spend money because, oh, look at that skin, or look how that weapon looks, and you like for example, Sea of Thieves. Like you don't need to spend money on Sea of Thieves. You just
We just do.
I just dropped 20 euros 2 days ago on Sea of Thieves, but
They're
like,
refreshing the store on tomorrow on April 7th. So
and that's dangerous because I still have some money in there. But yeah, that's what is interesting to me. Like there's people, and like nowadays you say you have friends that are not, that there's people that these type of things that doesn't affect them, and I wonder like what is that like? It's because what differentiates people to be so into like I'm willing to spend money, and people who say like fuck no, I'm not gonna
I
spend
have
any
a
money on that,
theory.
I'd rather wait.
I have a theory, which is I think that that's part of the game. The fact that they're not spending money. So if they spend money, then that part of the game, which is the achievement or the the how can I put it, like the delay of the anticipation
And the meta
is
game as
gone.
well. It's like a meta game thing too, I think, right?
Yeah, like you're not only grinding for that time or that resource, you're grinding, like you're only grinding to win. Like for example, I played also like the game I probably play the most in my life probably has been Hearthstone. And once you play, like look trying to have the meta decks and whatnot, you spend some money, like you get some cards naturally, but it's a very greedy game, or at least it used to be. I'm sure now it's worse. so so basically there was like and the designers know this, which is like you need legendary cards, and these legendary cards are very rare. They're almost like impossible to drop, and when they drop, it's not the legendary card you wanted. So to some extent, that game of like I want that legendary card is very frustrating. It's very predatory, and it's not why I play the game. Which I play the game to like do a strategy game, play cards. So I'm willing to spend money. But like I have friends that for them, their decks that they craft, they were their decks, like they work for them, like those decisions matter because they didn't use, it's not like they didn't have it, they of course they had the money. Like I think they had the money to like spend like every 3 months like $90 and then just get kind of like an expansion, and you get enough resources to build some decks and whatnot. But I think for them it was kind of like that was part of the game, like trying to grind it out.
As somebody who hasn't really purchased any microtransactions outside of the battle pass for Halo Infinite, to me that's always been a thing. Like I don't really, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm immune because that sounds kind of stupid, but I don't really see the appeal. Well, first of all, I don't really play these games very much because I'm mainly like a narrative story kind of gamer, and these games usually don't have microtransactions and stuff like that. But even when I'm playing these multiplayer things, I just don't see the appeal, or I don't really get interested in that. And it does become like you said, like a little trophy, like the same way I'm playing Elden Ring, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to play this and not summon anybody and see if I can do it. It's kind of the same thing with the microtransaction thing. So I do think you have a point there. So the other thing I wanted to talk about this subject is kind of a little bit more psychological part of it, of the whole personal responsibility thing, because I think that nowadays, I'm not going to say that there's less personal responsibility, although that may be the case. I don't really have the numbers, so that's why I'm not making any statements. But since we have access to the internet and we have access to all these things, we see sometimes some behaviors where people want to blame their problems on certain things, and that's where I get an issue. And harkening back to the conversation I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this person, he mentioned like, oh no, I've met couples who were married who got separated because of the console or video games.
Because of the Nintendo Switch.
Because of the Nintendo.
You need two Nintendo Switch. That was the problem all along.
Yeah, could have been easily fixed.
How provide to your woman. Give her Nintendo Switch.
Give her Nintendo Switch.
Yes, I understand. Like the thing is, like, that guy he sees the event as the catalyst. Like, if there wasn't for these stupid video games, that couple would be together, and that's not true.
Not true.
If you are not willing to like give space to your partner, then you're in trouble. And if your partner is not giving you enough room in their life, then it's also then you're also a dick. Like, and I think that it seems like if like if these couples, like, that's kind of like a topic and they're not able to figure it out. Like, I mean, there's no game better than sex. No, just kidding. I mean, there's no game that is as good enough that you're gonna like literally destroy your life.
Yeah.
Like, there's something broken with people that actually go there, and
Correct.
it's a journey. Like, I think that if anything, games are just kind of like a vehicle of something that, they probably find less frustrating, or like they find like some type of escapism. But I don't know, like, it's a very naive way of looking at a problem.
Yeah.
100%. And it kind of reminds me when I was a child, when I would get bad grades or whatever, my mom would always say, "Oh, it's because of the Nintendo." And it's like, "Mom, I'm a piece of shit. The problem is here. It's not the Nintendo." It's like I think, and this has happened to me with, I mean, in the case with my mother, it has happened multiple times, like with previous partners that I've had that she hasn't liked or something like that. It's like, that girl made you say or do blah blah blah, and it's like, no, mom. The thing is that it's easier for you to accept that it wasn't me, because accepting that I was the culprit hurts more than saying that it was the Nintendo or that person or whatever. So I think that sometimes, in this case, video games or partners or whatever, they can become like scapegoats of another thing that is happening. And in the case of what I described with this guy who heard about people separating over video games, it's that same thing. Like, if you're naive enough to believe that the video game was so powerful that it managed to break a relationship, I think that that's really like a very simplistic way to look at it. Because why did that person go so hard into video games? What were they running from in that partner or in their lives or whatever? Like, there could be so many variables.
Unless
So,
the game is Elden Ring, which is completely acceptable to like get divorced for
Correct.
for becoming the Elden Lord.
but then the problem becomes, why doesn't the partner understand that Elden Ring is there? Like, they should make a space for that. I mean, if they don't understand that, then they're not the person for you. I'm sorry.
The lands between have been shattered. Like, what you don't understand? How is it so hard to get?
Yeah.
John,
but
did you want to say something about this? Oh,
no,
go
it's
ahead.
just it's a matter of compromise. Like, if you're in a relationship is half and half. Like, there's no, like, and it's not even half and half. To be in a relationship means giving 100% and 100% from each side. There's not like, I give 50 and I give 50. That's bullshit. You give 100%, you give 100%, and in giving that 100%, you need to understand, like, this is becoming like a live podcast, like a relationship advice podcast. But
Absolutely.
Terrible advice. We're giving
terrible advice, really. Yeah,
By the
but
way.
We're not experts, so yeah, just
we're
keep
not
in mind.
experts at all. But I do have the opportunity or the luck to have at least two women in my life that are really understanding and really, yeah,
You're talking about us?
Yeah, exactly. You are my two girls that are really understanding and really, no, but like my mother and my current partner, like, both are really emotional, intelligent people that can understand that. Yeah, I mean, that's my thing. That's what I do. That's what I enjoy, and that's what I love to do with my free time. And they don't take that wrongly. They don't take that personal. They don't take that wrong when I say, "Hey, I don't feel like going out today. I want to stay home playing my game because I'm really enjoying it, because I don't feel like going outside."
And
I'm
it's
not.
super harmless as well. Like, it's
Yeah,
not like you're not drinking, you're not like, abusing any substances, you're
not at
not
all.
like hurting anyone, you're just like literally just like playing a game. And
Yeah,
anything that you want to do outside of that, you turn off the game and that's it. Like, it's super convenient. It's not like you're addicted
yeah.
to like, hiking and then or like I don't know, traversing the ocean in a raft, like
Yeah.
some shit like that. Like, it's
Some
like
crazy thing. Yeah, and that's I think. Yeah, it's like it's hard to get. I don't think, 'cause if you get with somebody who doesn't understand gaming, that doesn't know what that represent, or just think that gaming is a silly thing, then yeah, you will have these big troubles. And yeah, it's a matter of things. Like this guy that you're talking about, he says, my kid, that guy probably don't play any video games. He doesn't understand. He doesn't care. He doesn't like it.
probably
So
it's not even his kid.
Probably he's not living his kid. Probably his wife is with somebody else because he doesn't play video games. So
Just kidding.
why would he?
Oh my
I'm too
God.
trolling. I'm too trolling. Sorry. I think that another aspect. That was a good joke.
Yeah, it was good.
I think that another aspect we can definitely talk about is kind of like the other way around. It's like how people approach games when they go into it, because
Correct.
like obviously you can have like a very toxic attitude. And I, in my personal experience, I used to be like a pretty sore loser. Like example, when I played FIFA or shit like that, I would be like one of those. I would just like hit the couch or be like, "Damn it!" And then it's like, dude, why am I even screaming? And it's not like it doesn't mean anything. It's not like I'm not learning, I'm not improving, I'm not like understanding that losing is part of the experience. If I won every single time that I played, then it would be kind of boring. And a lot of people approach games this way. They don't understand that you're, especially in multiplayer games, that you're also using kind of like the other players time.
Yeah, the problem is with the person, like, because that person can take the video game into that faction and get extremely angry, extremely violent, extremely addictive. But you put that person in another environment and you put him inside I don't know, a betting house or a casino. That person is gonna get addicted to that as well. Or if you put him in a bar, he's probably gonna get addicted to, or she, because we're inclusive here, gonna be addicted to alcohol or whatever. So it is not. I don't think that the medium is to blame, even though there are games that are pretty predatory and really shady in how they do, but you're not forced to spend any money. That's depend on the person. Like, if you have this, it is shitty that they target that as a way of earning or making money. And that, I think we're lucky enough to live in Europe, which is a continent, let's say, that they're kind of taking restrictions and putting in action some laws to prevent these type of things. But yeah, that type of thing needs to be controlled at some degree, like the loot boxing boxes stuff and all that, like random shit that you can get when you drop some money. Like, that's betting. That should be taxed and treated as a casino or like a betting house. It should be the same. And then, hey, put some restrictions. Don't let kids under 18 years old doing that, because you don't let kids under 18 years old go into a casino. I don't
If
know.
you're gonna, yeah, if your business model is like you get random shit, then you're in a casino. Like, I'm sorry, like that's not a
Yeah.
valid transaction. Like, there is, and I think that in video games, it's so clear when they do that. Like, for example, with card games or like with this free to play games, it's like if you put money, you will get different prices. That's it. And the value is not like one to one. Like, you're getting random shit. So change that, because that's not the point of the game. And I think that there are plenty of board games and card games that I mean, just look at kind of like the like the poker cards. You can play a gazillion games with that. You might get bored after a while. Obviously, you're going to get a new cards. You only have 52, but like, you could design games in a way that that's the experience. Like, this is the wrapped up experience. You pay like this amount of money, and then basically that's it. You have the game. You have all the cards, and you can play it. The thing is, like, that's not exploitative. Like, there are people that are rich. Like, I when I work in this industry, like, it's like there are people that they spend 20,000 euros a month on free to play games. Why? Because they have the money. There's no other explanation. It's what, like, they see money very differently than we do. For now, just kidding. And they spend that much money because they have it. And I understand that as a developer, you're like, oh, I want that money. Like, I want to exploit that somehow. But you cannot do that at the expense of people that that they're just chilling, doing their thing, and trying to like get good at the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because that's also like another thing that I want that I was trying to explain to this guy, and I didn't really succeed, but I'm gonna tell it to you guys anyway, which is that, of course, what he's describing exists like in all these freemium or mobile or whatever games. But it's funny because the less predatory games are like mostly the like $70 full priced games, because you just pay once, you have quote unquote all of the game, because sometimes that doesn't happen, we know. But like, for example, let's take an example like Elden Ring. There's probably going to be DLC for that game, but you just invest your
They're still adding missions that they forgot to patch into the game. So
that's free DLC. Yeah.
exactly.
But like you buy that game, and if you don't want to invest anything else, well, right now you can't even invest more. But like there's the game. If you want to play it for 20 hours, there's the game. If you want to play it for 150, there's the game. So I don't know. It's like I mean, of course, I'm not gonna ask this person who's kind of ignorant in this whole topic to understand that. But I do think that it's important to consider that he wasn't completely wrong. Like that does exist, as we said. And it's funny because there's like two currencies. Of course, there's money, and then there's time. And the time one is a little bit more complicated because it seems safer. It doesn't seem as predatory, but when you think about it, it is still something that we need to watch out for, because like we can't really get super invested into a world like Elden Ring, or I don't know. I mean it happens more with these open world games because they're like very engrossing and blah blah blah. But it can happen with indie games as well. And we do need to watch out to like not forget about, I don't know, like exercising, not forget about eating. I mean, some people forget to eat, which to me sounds unfathomable, but it happens to some people.
I
So,
also think that when
yeah.
what you were saying there about kind of like time, it's like it's a pain in the ass. Like these games like Clash of Clans that you have to like wait for shit to happen.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning, it's like, okay, cool. This kind of is kind of like a little bit in character. I have this little town in my pocket that is growing with my delayed decisions. But then after a while, it's like it's like 7 days to upgrade kind of like your town hall or some shit like that. And at that point, they're not doing it because it's part of the game. They're doing it because they want your money. Like
Oh yeah.
it's simple as that. Like there's no role playing on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely no. That would be. I agree with you. Like it would fall under the category of money, even though they're dealing in time. My argument was more on the side of like even a game like Elden Ring, it's like 100-hour or so game if you kind of like want to see it completely, and investing those hours, let's say judiciously, is important as well. Like even though we're not getting predated on our wallets, we still have to like watch out to like not forget to take out the dog or things like that. That's more what I meant. Stuff like that.
I mean,
but still,
go for you.
yeah, that's still you're an adult. Like
Yeah.
you need to make the conscious decision. Like, yeah, I play Elden Ring. I invested, I don't know, 100 and something hours into that game on the span of 2-3 weeks, which it's a substantial amount of time. And yeah, I had a full-time job back at that moment, like from 9 to 5, and I was aware that I was going to bed at 4 or 5 in the morning, that I was just going to sleep 3 hours and then I was going to be tired the next day. But I was conscious, and I took the conscious decision of, you know what, fuck it. I really enjoying this. I want to do this. Am I going to do that my whole life? No. But for this game, I did feel, because, hey, this got really good at this part. I just want to push forward and see what happens, And yeah, Elden Ring is built so it's so good that, yeah, you don't care. You don't even keep track of the time. But
I think also there's the thing that people tend to assume that the time that you're spending on leisure or like just having fun is time that you can directly put into something like, I don't know, those 100 hours. Why did you just spend that, on doing like,
it's the same
learning
crap.
a new technology or
Yeah,
doing
the same
yoga.
crap. Like if you stop smoking, you will have a Ferrari by now or something, some bullshit like that. It's like, no,
I wouldn't
it's
work
not.
like that.
like I wouldn't.
It doesn't work. It's like, it doesn't work that way. It's like, come on, it's my free time. I am allowed to do whatever I want. Then I have my conscious time that if I want to, like, I'm going back to school right now and I'm making the conscious decision of going to school, and then I know, hey, now I need to take this serious because I'm gonna go into a really intensive course over the period of 9 weeks that I'm not gonna, from Monday to Friday, I'm gonna be the whole day studying. And yeah, I cannot be late, and I'm conscious about it. I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna play that much at that time because I need to be on top of my thing. And
And I
that's
think there are skills that you can translate to that is going to make it easier. Like how to grind something. Like I recently took up like working out again, and I've been working out like 4 times a week. And I'm going like 2 hours at the gym, and I have it in the calendar, and I'm not, and I'm like trying to like not gamify it as much as I can, but it, like, I need to follow these rules. Like,
Yeah.
if I do this, if I sit down, keep my head down, keep doing the things I have to do, like my body will adapt, like my character, in this case me, will keep getting better.
Hmm.
But you have, but like those tools and those experiences come from basically picking that up from games. Like, yeah, if I sit down and I do this, like, things can happen. But there are things that definitely need to create kind of like, you need to create kind of like that discipline and make space for
Yeah.
those things. Like, it's completely different when you, like, primarily live with a partner and, like, they have like some needs, or like there's stuff that you have to do. As long as you keep your balance in check, almost like everything, you
Yeah.
actually are going to get more out of the games. And I
Hmm.
think that is how
100%.
also like how you approach them. Like, if someone were, I think like there are games that they require you to, like, sit through them and just kind of like learn some stuff. If you're playing World of Warcraft and you don't know what you're doing, and you just basically, like, going around just like doing random shit and fucking everyone's game, then you're not gonna get the most out of that game either. Like, even like the skill set you need outside of your life to make your life in order, you also need them inside the game. Like, if
Yeah.
your life is a mess, then your games are gonna be a mess, and you're not even gonna be having that much fun.
100%. Yeah. For me, what I do is every day I have like this cycle where I just have to earn adult points to earn my game time. So that would mean, like, I don't know, cooking, cleaning, mostly working, taking the dog or whatever. And then after I have completed everything, that's when I have the permission from my internal Ministry of Defense to start playing. And that kind of works for me. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, to each their own. Like that works for me. I'm completely random. Like that's how I like my life. I don't like how to have a structure, like in my life in that sense. I just like to do things when I feel that I want to do it. I just know that, hey, I felt today like I wanted to play, I don't know, from 3 till 6 because that's how I felt, and then I play for three to six and stop, and then go to do something else, and then sit down, watch a movie with my girlfriend, or then take the dogs for a walk or whatever. But yeah, it's a matter of, you need to realize that, hey, it's really that enjoyable as well to spend that much time sitting down playing a game. I don't know. I never been that type of person that I enjoy spending, I don't know, 12 hours without going to the bathroom and drinking water, just playing a video game like that.
And
It's,
most games don't let you do that. Like, I think that,
now they have warnings even, because yeah, there's people
yeah,
who has died from doing that type of bullshit, which is
damn
insane.
it,
But yeah,
fucking plebs, get
yeah,
good.
get good, man.
I, I think that most games don't let you do that. Like, we play, like, Sea of Thieves, which is like we're like 5 hours playing. I think that is a game that lets you play like a lot of hours. But when I play kind of like a battle royale game, every time you finish a game, it's like, okay, do I want another one, kind of thing,
Yeah,
like, and also like single player games. Like, there are points in a session where you're like, okay, I'm gonna like leave it here,
yeah,
and you're cool with that.
yeah,
And I don't know. I think that we have, with mobile gaming, we have changed the paradigm a lot on like what is a game, and like how how it can, be combined with your life. And I think that, for example, there's this game on Apple Arcade called Tale of Crows. It's a Game of Thrones game, and it's kind of like a clicking game, like, where, no, it's not like clicking, it's kind of like a real time game where you, like, things happen and then you have to wait for the story to unfold, and it's pretty cool. It's free, like, guys, if you play Apple Arcade, and you don't have to do anything, but like, it gives you like this, delayed sense of like narrative and breadth of like, oh, I took a decision, and now, because we're in a kind of like in a real world fantasy scenario, it has to play out, kind of like what Game of Thrones tries to capture. And and I think that those concepts are so cool, but we have never explored them. Like, I remember that in Metal Gear 3, if you leave your PlayStation, like, turned off for, I think it's like 7 days, like, someone dies. I don't remember.
the
I
end. Yeah, the
Yeah,
the
I, I
sniper.
I never did that. I
Me
actually
neither.
killed him, because obviously I had no idea you could do that.
Because I'm
Um,
not a bitch. Oh!
I'm not summoning anyone. Not just kidding. I think that the those concepts, if anything, should be explored more. And the only reason why we're exploring them is because we want to, like, make money out of people, and it's very limiting to kind of like what creativity can be. Like we have all these options, and the only thing we're using it for is to sell shit to people.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think that, I mean, we're kind of near the end of the whole topic, but I did want to just like top it off with saying something that, I mean, of course, nothing in life is black and white in terms of like these kind of topics that involve psychology, involve intention, morality, and everything. But I do believe that there is like a percentage, let's say it's 50, although it's probably another number, but let's say 50, that is your intentions, your own responsibility, your actions, and we have to take responsibility for that. Like if we decide to stay up until 11 a.m. playing Sea of Thieves, looking at you, John, we can't go and blame Microsoft, or we can't go and blame these guys from Rare. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Of course, there are nuances. There are people who have addictive personalities or propension. They're more like prone to fall into addictive things, and I think that those people should take measures in order to prevent those kinds of things. Of course, then there's the other 50%, which is the developers. Like, how are you designing your game? In what way are you kind of taking advantage of these things in order to siphon people's times or people's money? And that is also a factor. Like it's not completely one or completely the other. The only thing that I'm trying to convey here is that as gamers, we only have access to that 50%, and we should just like take fully that responsibility. That's mainly my view.
You're an adult. You're the only responsible for you. It's you, like nobody else. Like after you pass 18 years old, you're fucked. Like you need to be responsible for your own decisions, and nobody will take care of you
unless you go to jail.
Unless you go to jail, which is an option. Like it's a really good option, but then you get, let's not go there.
Don't go to jail.
Yeah, unless you want it. There's people who probably like it. I don't know.
Unless it's pretty strong.
Yeah, but I don't think and honestly, the people who makes that type of games, like these mobile games and predatory games, I don't think that they're not to blame. They're just honestly, there's a market for it. Like it's a company, they want to make money, but that's why we have entities like governments and lawmakers who can restrict and control these things the same way as substances are controlled, the same way betting is controlled, the same way that this is controlled. Like, hey, yeah, alcohol industry exists, cigarettes exist because there's people who want it. There's a product that has a market for it, but you need to put some restrictions. You need to let people know that this is bad for you, and make it harder or easier depending on whatever studies they need to do. So yeah, I don't blame it on either side. Like honestly, like I completely understand why would you put as a developer 2 squares and then beat each other to death and then charge $50,000 for a purple square. Because if you have a market, why would you say no? I don't want that money. Like I don't think anybody here will be like, no, I'm not gonna do that because I'm so morally correct that I'm like, that's bullshit. It's in the end you want money, and companies need money and want money, and then that's how it works. So yeah. It's just a matter of if you have an addicted personality, you should know, to not get close to that type of thing. And I don't want to go here and like victim blame people, but hey, if you know you have an addicted personality, that means that you have gone to routes to know that you have an addicted personality. You probably have been to a psychiatrist. You probably have been, people have told you that. So those people at least need to tell you like, hey, stay away from that thing because it's not going to be good for you. It's not going to be nice. And hey, unless you want to be on the street living under a bridge because you cannot, you put all the money of your house on a game or some crap like that. So yeah, I don't know. It's
tough out there.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough because it sounds a lot of victim blaming people, but I don't give a fuck. Because it is what it is. You're an adult and you need to take care of your own shit. You stop being a baby. Like it is what it is.
That's the spirit.
Yeah, and also just to add a little thing to that, it's like we can't control what other people are gonna do. We can just control what we're gonna do. So let's try that within our control, we do things correctly to maximize the results that we're looking for. In this case, living a nice life, gaming responsibly, or whatever it is that we're talking about. Because this kind of applies to everything, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's an ownership, and what you say in the beginning, it's ownership of your own shit. If you messed up and you got fired because you were arriving late every day because you stay till 5 a.m. playing a video game, that's not your boss' fault. That's not the game's fault. That's nobody's fault except for you, who didn't do the conscious decision of like, hey, this is not good for me. I need to stop. I have responsibilities. And yeah,
What are I have a good one. What games have you actually been like the most addicted to? Like you being like, man, I should have. Maybe
damn.
I overstepped. For me,
Hmm.
100% is Hearthstone. Like at some point, I was like, "This is I'm investing way too much time into this shit," and like I'm missing out. Like even beyond the part of like I'm spending too much time, like I'm missing out on some other cool stuff that I actually, fortunately, that's the other point I got to experience later. Like there were a few games like I didn't play because it was like playing card games, so I played them after, and it's like, yeah, after I mean like 3 years after.
Well, but it's good because they were all patched out. You had like complete editions and
You got the
everything.
real game after three
Like
years,
The
which
Witcher
is
3, I played it. Like it was one of the first games that put me back into like AAA gaming. And then like from there, I was like, okay, I'm back.
hmm,
That's awesome.
yeah.
How about you, John?
I,
I
I
think I think you have a couple more than I, but
I mean, addicted that impacted my life,
oh
like
well, yeah.
none, not at all. Like for me, the thing is like I have the fortune and misfortune of having a really short attention span, so I do get tired of things extremely quick. When I like something, I go a hundred
But
percent in, and then like
let's put it this way, so it's easier because like
yeah,
I lost my house in
yeah,
2022. Like it's games that you think that you spend way more time that it was due on them. I think that's kind of like the
because it's
best
a
way to put
piece of shit game, League of Legends. Yeah,
it.
Mm.
yeah.
But
I
would
don't
you say
know.
that for Destiny, for example? Like at some point, I was like,
That's
No,
what I
because
was gonna
Destiny,
say.
Destiny,
Yeah.
it was a different for me. Destiny was a social thing as well because I was not playing on my own Destiny. It was a thing that sitting down with a party of people and just talking. It's the same thing. Like we were talking about Sea of Thieves that I stayed till 7 a.m. playing, but I was not playing Sea of Thieves alone. I was with
yeah,
somebody else and we were speaking while we were doing things. So for me, it's more of a social thing, and it's my like video gaming nowadays for me as well is my it's my social thing, especially because I live apart from everybody. I'm the one that live. I don't have nobody of my circle of friends nearby, so gaming it's my social hub, my thing to social, and I think that's a way as well. Well, my partner respected because she knows, hey, this is his social life right now. So yeah, and like no, if I spend a stupid amount of times, yeah, League of Legends, and I shouldn't because honestly, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer because to me, Destiny was kind of the answer, but I agree 100% with John that I don't really feel that I regret any of the time I spent there. As soon as I was starting to get bored of it, I left it completely. So I don't know because I'm also somebody who I like I play a game, I beat it, I move on, and that's how I've always done.
No,
And so I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
not even like a grindy one that you were like, ugh, I don't even know when I'm finishing this crap.
Well, I think I would get back to Destiny then because as I said, when I start to feel that way, I just quit because I just feel I'm not getting anything out of this.
yeah,
Like
So
there's a trade off. Okay.
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, for me, I think that when I used the example of like Hearthstone, is that it was like a lot of time, and it like at some point it like was taking it seriously, and like it's not like I regret it. It's just like it consumed a lot, like and it was kind of like a lot for an unlimited amount of time, and it was kind of like not like a super part of my personality, but like it was there, like it was something I would do. And even when I talk to people that actually play the game, I realized how deep into Hearthstone I was. Like it wasn't like, oh, I played Hearthstone too, and it's like, really, did you go? You know that in 2018 I went to the World Cup to watch,
yeah.
Thais lose in the
mm,
semifinals with Tom. I don't even know, man. Like that, you get there. Like I remember like
yeah,
being there and like knowing like all the streamers and like thinking like, oh, this guy has a good,
yeah. The
some
whole
really good
esport
a
crowd.
good lineup kind of thing. So I don't know. Like I think that it took a lot of time, and then other than that, I think that my time playing Call of Duty like the multiplayer version, like back in this is like back in Caracas, like when I would play online, I would play for like a lot of hours. It wasn't even like a social thing. It was just kind of like this endless loop of like match after match, and it wasn't even that good. Just like it
Mm.
was kind of like what it was.
And now that you talk about like, if I remember of my time of like I was really into League of Legends, like I remember that was one of the worst periods of my life. Like that I was honestly really discontent with life. Like I just recently arrived to Spain. I had a shitty job. I was working in a restaurant for like 400 euros, 12 hours per day. So like some really bullshit immigrant type of crap that you need to go through, sadly. And I remember that was the time that I was spending stupid amounts of time getting hammered and drugged and playing video games. And yeah, I think that shows that as well. Like people who actually like that guy that you say that he knows people who have stopped their relationships because of video games. It's like, hey, it is not a video game. There's something
Exactly.
underneath that. You're trying to escape from something that you're not content with, and you kind of make refuge. And now we're going into life coaching instead of couple advice. You're just not content. You're trying to like take refuge or take cover under a video game, which is, yeah, in the end, video games are a way of escapism. And yeah, like you need to self-evaluate, like, hey, why am I spending so much time on this? Like, why I'm trying to escape from my real life that I don't really enjoy, that I'm like dropping 10 hours per day on this game. Like what's going on there? Like if you are in a thing at some point, maybe not in the beginning, but at some point you something clicks in your head and you're like, there's something wrong here. Like there's something that is not working here. Why I'm doing this? Because at some point you stop enjoying the game. I do think that a lot of people who spend that much time on games, at some point they're not really enjoying it. Like they're just doing it as a way of, like a drug addict start taking something, it's because they need it, and that's what makes the addiction. As somebody who has a really addictive personality, I can put my hands down on that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it's like they're not
it's
happy for doing that.
yeah, and then you realize, like, I'm not happy in doing this. Why I keep doing it? Why I am sacrificing social life or friends or relationships or my health? And yeah, it's something that is not working out there. And yeah, you need to
Get
get
good.
good. Yeah, exactly. You need to get good,
Get good, yes. Get good at life. Get good at gaming.
which is not easy, but yeah,
outside of gaming.
everything. Yeah, that's a good thing. Like as an adult, you're the one responsible for yourself, but as well, you're the only one who can take yourself out of a shitty situation. So you make the conscious decision of, I want to stop and I want to look for help, and then you will see and changes, and you will see that your life start improving. I guess, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, but that's how I think. So yeah.
John is not a psychologist, but we are gamers. So we're going to talk about
So
games
we know better
again.
than you.
Damn
Yes.
right.
What are you guys playing? Let's start with Christian.
I've been playing Thumbleweed Park
Oh,
and Monkey Island 3. I actually was playing Monkey Island 3 before they announced that they're gonna work on a sequel. And funny thing, once you know everything there is to do on Monkey Island, you can finish it pretty fast. So, so I still remember like most of the puzzles, which was cool. Great game. Like if you haven't picked it up, it's a classic. It's aging way too fast. It's like pretty low resolution, but the story is still great. The writing is good. So, and then playing Thumbleweed Park, which is kind of like from Ron Gilbert as well, one of the creators of Monkey Island. And so far so good. Like it's really classic. It's trying to stay there, where like with that style and that gameplay, and it's just pretty old school. I'm really liking it. Let's see if I actually get to finish it. So yeah, that's kind of like on that front.
awesome. And those are point and click adventure
Yeah,
games,
they're point and
correct?
click adventure games. Yeah. You never
Awesome.
played
Yeah,
Monkey Island once?
I haven't played. I don't think any point and click adventure games, because
You
I
should
know that there's also Green Fandango, which is also
you should
supposed to
definitely
be
try
really
the Monkey
good.
Island ones. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, Monkey Island was. It's a pretty. I don't really remember that game that much because I used to play it like when I was. Yeah, that game is
It's super old.
1995.
Yeah.
Lucas
It's
Arts,
pretty
right?
it's
Yeah,
pretty 2000, yeah. From
95,
LucasArts,
96,
Golden
something like
Age.
that. So yeah, so I don't really remember, but I remember being really funny and having some quirky things that
Is that
were like
Tim
great.
Schafer as well writing there?
He was back in the early epoch of the game. He was one of the first ones that was there during what they developed an engine was the Scum engine that basically was about that.
It's very
Awesome.
cool. I hope they do like a remaster or something now that the third, like the sequel, is coming out. Like some remaster or some port to more
I'm sure
updated
they'll
consoles
do
will be
something
nice.
like that.
Hey, I'm all up for video game conservation. That's a thing that now for anybody who knows, I'm like looking for Vitas and anything like that because I really want to start getting my collection on retro video games. So yeah, like hopefully it will happen. And Christian is not agreeing with me, so he was just like,
Yeah,
"Fuck." He's like,
Christian hates video game preservation.
Christian
That's
hates
why.
video game conservation, so he was like,
Fuck it.
"Fuck this shit! I'm just gonna get out of here. I don't care. Fuck you."
Fuck it.
The symbolism.
Yeah.
How about you, John? What are you playing now?
Still near Replicant.
Oh,
Like
nice.
I've been playing it quite a bit long because I started playing like and adopting a new way of playing video games right now because I do realize that my backlog is way out of control.
It is.
It is way out of control.
As
It's
your PlayStation husband, I can attest to that.
Yeah, and not
being
only
possible.
on PlayStation, as well on Xbox, even though I haven't bought, but Game Pass is there, and on the Switch, which is something that I recently started looking at again. So my backlog is, yeah, it's insane. So now I'm gonna start playing several games at the same time. I want to try that dynamic, but yeah, so far, Neo Replicant is the game that I'm most into it, which is pretty good. There's some stuff that I hate in the game that it really bothers me, which doesn't make any sense because that game is not at all uh, to be so obtuse on some of their mechanics.
Like
Um,
what?
Fast traveling for once,
Oh
like
yeah.
the
Well,
fact that
No
there is
fast
no
travel.
fast travel, right?
yeah, and
There's
that's
no
something.
fast travel in real life, John. So
Yeah, that's true, and that's what they say in the game, which I found so like, man, shut up. Like, there's a part in the game that the guy says, like, "Oh, will be nice." So, because it's in the middle of a side quest, even like he
Yeah.
says, like, "Oh man, will be so nice to be able to like disappear and appear where I need to deliver this." Whatever, I don't remember what it was. And then the little Grimoire of Ice, which is the book that one of your companions says, like, "No, there's a magic that works like that, but it's terrible and it's so cheap and blah blah blah." And I'm like, don't moral trip me into this crap. Come on, fuck off. Like I don't care. Just give me my fast travel. This is not Red
No,
Dead
but
Redemption.
like how far are you into the game?
I did the time jump.
Okay.
There's a time jump in the game, and let's put it that way. I don't wanna spoil anything, but I got my party back together.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. Like I was talking with Christian the other day playing Sea of Thieves. Like I really like that game. That I can see a lot of the things that influence Yoko Taro in that game. Like there's some parts like they're like Resident Evil 1. So there's a
Yeah.
whole section that is like Resident Evil 1. There's a section that is super Zelda inspired that even at the end of the side quest, or no, it's not a side quest, it's part of the story, like the guy that you were working on doing the thing, he has a little Link moment that he jumps like, oh, I found it, and da-na-na-na, like even the music, like the
Yeah.
little jingle is pretty similar to Zelda. And
It's like a low budget version.
yeah,
The-
it's like a
the-
lot of like this bunch of shit influenced me, so I'm putting in this game that you even have like text-based adventures. Like there's a
Yes.
part that is, which is, I found that pretty insane to be in a game. It's not really obligatory, but it is if you want to get like the whole, like the complete ending or all the other. I think there's 5 endings. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that they put that under a text adventure. But I don't know, it is a really charming game. Like it has things that when you look past the bullshit and the obtuse things, like it's really charming, and you notice that it's a really a passion project made for that this guy made. And yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. It's pretty emotional. The story is kind of like, it's pretty fucked up, but I think everything he does is pretty fucked up, and I enjoy my time. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a hell of a game. I think
Yeah.
that I mean, I had a very interesting journey where I hated that game back when in 2013, played it back last year and absolutely loved it. I did want to say that there is a fast travel. Maybe you haven't unlocked it yet because there are like these little boats.
With the boats,
Have
yeah.
you- but
Yeah.
but I mean, it's still shitty because they're very far. So
Yeah, And what I mean a fast travel, I mean I play Elden Ring 2 weeks ago,
Exactly.
so I can just do whatever. Just like I want to go there, boom, I just go there, and I really enjoy that, and I think it's a quality of life that I think it should be like stop giving me that crap. Like because it's in this universe, you cannot use it. Like, it's a video game. Like shut up, man. Like no, nothing is real. It's a video game. Of course, there could be fast travel, but yeah,
100%. Yeah, that's him trying to like rationalize why he did not include that in the game. That
yeah,
makes
and
no
I don't
sense.
understand. There's probably some reasoning behind it why he hates fast travel, even though in Nier Automata does exist. So I don't really understand why. But yeah, even the side quests, like there's some side quests that are. I read that it was kind of like his stance or like his position about how side quests are meaningless and bullshit on video games. So there's several side quests in the game that are stupid long, which are pretty much fetch quests. Like just go there, pick up this, go there, pick up that, give it to
And they
this
don't give you
person,
anything.
and then don't give you shit at the end of the thing. Like I did one, and the guy in the end is like, "Oh no, these people left the town. They just stole everything and they left." And I was like, I really honestly just spent fucking 12 minutes of my life running from one side of the other of the map, finding like sheep meat or like a plant for nothing. And I got really pissed off, and I looked at on Google, and I said like, no, Yoko Taro said that this is it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty fine, but don't do it on the game, dude. Just write I don't know, an article or something, like tweet about it. I don't know.
Make a
Just don't put
statement.
don't put it on the game because man, it's yeah. If you look under all of that stuff, it's an amazing game. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of reminds me of The Last Guardian, where sometimes Trico, the bird, dog, whatever, cat, sometimes you call him and he doesn't come, and it's because it's programmed that sometimes he randomly doesn't listen to you. And
Like
that
a,
is
like a real animal kind of thing.
yeah, that's pretty cute in theory, but it's so fucking annoying that fucking idiot included that in there. That I mean, it's just no.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. No.
it's like the Red Dead Redemption thing of picking and opening everything to pick up the things, and then
Yes.
That aged terribly, by the way. I don't know if you ever picked up that game again, but it's unbearable.
I Red Dead Redemption 1 has that too, or is just on the second
No,
one?
no,
No, it's the second one.
Just the
the
second
second one.
Yeah. No,
the first one is a
couldn't finish the
normal
second one.
game. Yeah.
That aged terribly. Like I
Yeah.
try to like play that game again, and no fucking way, man.
I
just
couldn't finish it. Like it took like I don't like it. I don't like that. If I want to go to somewhere, yeah, you have the cinematic thing, and then you just let the horse go, and then go take a shit while the thing arrives. And
There wasn't any fast travel. Like
you
I
can
don't
unlock it
remember.
at some
Yeah.
point, but like
The-
half through the game or something.
There were carriages that would take you.
I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But it costs money or something like that. It's not
costs
like
money.
super cheap
Yeah, but
neither.
you're rich at the end, kind of thing.
Yeah, but well, fuck it. Like I don't care. That are times that I say like I don't care about realism on video games. Like quality of life, it's more important than realism for me because I don't play video games for them to be real. I play video games to have fun. So
Well,
Yeah.
we have an entire episode of Christian and I talking shit about realism in video games
Yeah,
because it
it's-
fucking sucks
doesn't make
every
sense.
time, every single time.
Every
that they try
time
to-
they use it, it's just annoying.
yeah,
What are you playing, Juan?
yeah.
Well, to the surprise of no one, I am playing Elden Ring still. I am, I think 70 hours in. I'm on level 90. Yesterday I arrived in the Lake of Rot, which is one of the underground areas, which is a fucking nightmare.
Another swamp.
Correct. Another swamp that kills you
You're
within
completely
seconds.
you're completely guideless. Like you're not.
I mean,
watching anything.
I have
Ageless
searched
still.
some things for certain side quests because sometimes I really have no idea what I have to do, and
Whatever.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, in these games, like to me,
I googled everything. No, worry. I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
okay.
I googled everything. Like, I don't give a shit.
yeah, no, because I mean, in these games, like sometimes it's pretty straightforward what you have to do because you just have to pay attention. Like, but what happens to me is that I get very impatient. So, for example, let's say that they give you this key, and this key will come into play 10 hours from now. But I don't know if I move forward, I'm missing that part of the side quest. So what I do is I search am I going on the right direction? And then the guide says yes, and I just like and I just say okay, cool, and I keep going, because what to me is horrible is like, for example, there's a character that I love, and then if you don't go here instead of there, then he dies, and it's like, how the fuck
That
would I
happens
have
a
done
lot.
That's
that?
part of the magic. That's part of what makes those games.
I know, but I don't
great,
care.
yeah.
I just don't
that
give a shit.
happens a lot. I was
That's the
checking
type of
out-
shit that I do like. That is realistic. That can happen in real life. If I didn't went out with this person, like this person
would
fall in love
die.
with somebody else. Well, not that dramatic, but like I don't went out with this girl today, so she met somebody at the bar, and that can happen in real life. You know,
I
so
think it's
I
a
kind of-
bit exaggerated at some points. Like there's definitely moments where
agree.
you're like, you don't really know what the consequences of your actions are going to be, and it's unfair that you discover a character later and like they happen to be dead, and it's not directly because of your actions. Like there's a bunch of stuff that gets locked. Like there are a few quest lines that they get blocked if you get too ahead of yourself. And there's no reason for that. Like it's just like they're just not there anymore, and even they fucked up by having like quests that were like incomplete. So it's kind of weird.
Really? Fuck.
Yeah, there were like a few. There is. Did you reach a town that is full of like pot people?
Not yet. No.
So that had no explanation, and it happens that there was kind of like a side character that had a few more events on its quest line, and yeah, so you arrive there, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? And that had kind of like a little bit of a quest line. And in general, I think that also there is. Did you meet the NPC on Godric's castle, Nefrit? I think was her name. I don't remember.
She
you can summon
is-
her to fight Godric.
Yes, I know who she is. Yes.
So her quest line before that would end like after that in the round table, and there were like a few more steps which they just didn't put until the patch, and it's like, wow. So yeah.
Well, I did get something from her. Well, not from her. Like I talked to this guy who's next to Rena, who's called Siluis. He's like a mage, an asshole. He gave me a potion to give to her, but then I went to her and she wouldn't take it. So it's like, what? I don't.
I know,
understand.
but I'm not gonna say anything. But I know.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Okay, so I have the potion. I go to her. She doesn't drink it. I go back to the guy, and he says, "Give her the potion." What do I do now? Like, what's the answer?
What is it to do there?
So he gave me this potion. He
No,
said,
I understand, but I'm asking John, like, if he did
Ah,
that quest.
you need to speak to her dad.
oh, and who the fuck is that? I don't know.
She says who's her dad is when you meet her for the first time.
I mean, this is where the game kind of loses me, and I don't really care because I just enjoy the rest. But these obscure kind of quests, I mean, they don't drive me up the wall or anything. But I just can't be expected to. Okay, so I killed, let's say, Godric. And no, now I have to go to everything that I have visited to see if there's somebody new who just happened to stop by, and I have to go at night because maybe they show up at night. Like the randomness of this whole thing.
I really think it's a collaborative effort rather than something you're expected to find out. Like literally, what they want is for us to have this conversation and interactions. Like there's just no other way that other then that makes sense. And I think there's like a story of Miyazaki explaining how he came up with co-op. Like I think he got like his car broke down, and then some random people stopped to help him push his car, and then they left, and then he will never see these people again. And then he thought that was cool, so he thought that maybe this is a nice way of like how I'm going to implement multiplayer. Like these people are going to meet, they're going to help each other, and then they're going to be on their way. And I think that in a way that's kind of like what he's looking for, that now you have this thing of like, I don't know what to do, and you need to find someone who does.
That I do find that fascinating, but then John, don't look at me like that when I say that I search for something.
I mean, I'm not a super special person or anything, but I really didn't look that much stuff up, and I did get all the endings and kind of understood what everybody was and kind of what I have to do. And for me, it's the same. Like, I have the thing with those games. I'm really hyper focused, even though I say that I have a really short attention span with Souls, and that's why they're my favorite games. I have hyper focus, so I'm really aware, and I'm looking at everything a thousand times, and I pass all over the things all the time, and I was always looking for something. And if something cuts, like when I hear one of the NPCs saying something and something caught my ear, I'm like, wait, what is that? Like, you mentioned this area or you mentioned this thing, so I'm gonna try to look for something that is nearby there, or that's how I play those games. That's why I spent like 100 and something hours on my first playthrough of the game. And and I have our thing, like I always tend, and I do that on all the souls, like your hub area, the round table, or whatever it's called nowadays. I always go there, and every time I go back, I speak to everybody. And i and there's a given on souls games that you need to exhaust dialogue, which every NPC, like, just click it until they start repeating themselves. And doing that, I did figure a bunch of stuff up. I did figure out where were the things, like, for example, the dad of this girl, he tells you, I'm just going to give you a real cue, he tells you where everybody is. He tells you where all the demigods are, and everybody who has a rune are, and where you
The
can
guy
locate
with
them.
the helmet.
Yeah, that's her dad. So, and he says it, and she says it too. So then you start getting like, oh, okay, this guy. So you start talking, and like I always do that. I go back to the place and I speak with the blacksmith, and I speak to Fia, and I speak to, which, by, if you see the intro movie, you already know who Fia is, because she's mentioned on the beginning of the game, and she's in the round table, which is kind of suspicious. You're like, why is she here? She's mentioned in the beginning of the game about something, and then you start like putting yourself like, why is it? And there's something hidden here. What's going on here? And yeah, sadly, you need to read every item description. That's another thing that a lot of people don't do, and there's quite a lot of lore and clues and things on the description of the items. Which, yeah, it's if you don't like that, and you're not the type of person who read things on video games, which I'm not, but I did learn that on games like the Souls games, you actually need to read, and even the spells, even the weapons, even anything can give you a clue about what to do, or where to go, or why this person is acting this way, or why are they doing this. So yeah.
So the thing about that is that I think that what you're describing is cool, and I do like 80% of what you described. However, there are a couple of problems, and one is I went to the Weeping Peninsula, which is a part that it's in the south. The first thing you see when you get there is this girl who's like, she I think she has like a thing here. She's blind or something like that. Yeah, I think she's blind. And she says, okay, you have to go to this castle and search for my father. And I was like, okay. I went to the castle. I searched the entire thing. There was nobody there. I asked you guys on the group, and you were like, he's there. You have to look really carefully. And I was like, okay. I looked like 3 times. Nobody there. I looked on the internet, and where he was supposed to be, he wasn't there. So I don't really know what I did wrong. I was exploring another part, and then he started attacking me out of nowhere. Like he came like a red phantom and attacked me. And I was like, I don't know if the quest got bogged out, and if it did, it's kind of shitty, because if you want me to follow these cryptic messages, it has to work, because if it doesn't work, then it doesn't make any sense. And on the thing with the dialogue options where you have to exhaust them, I think that is dumb. And that here's why. If you have 3 paragraphs to tell them to me once. Why do I have to speak to you 3 times? I don't really. I mean,
because
I do it.
Talking a different subjects.
Not necessarily. Sometimes
Because
it's
you
like,
don't have
hey, John, how are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm doing well. And that's the second time you press triangle. So I do think that is sometimes very stupid. When they talk about different things, I completely agree with you. But sometimes that's not the case. And I think that's stupid. The item description thing, I think that's fine. I mean, sometimes I don't do it because it's a lot. But I think that's awesome. And the crypticness is awesome. But when it doesn't work, and it's not my fault, that's when I get annoyed. But okay. That's
that's fair enough. I will just say, like, check out which item were you wearing when you went to the castle, because that could be
I love the riddle.
That could be one of the reasons that he attacked you. So yeah,
the guy in the round table, right?
No, no, no.
No, no, no.
This is the father of the girl who's blind who tells you to give the letter to the dad in the Whipping Peninsula.
I don't remember why he attacked me, but I do remember like
He didn't attack me at all, to be honest. Like he was where he was supposed to be, and like I went, but I do. He says particular things when he speak to you, like he really hates something, and maybe if you are part of that something, he will hate you and he will attack you.
But
So
the funny thing is that he didn't attack me there. He attacked me on another map, like on the other side of the map, like on like not even.
did
on
you see what
in the
happened
Whipping.
to her daughter, to his
Yeah,
daughter?
I know.
Well, maybe you were wearing something that made him appear and attack you. That's the thing. But then you need to figure out who killed her daughter.
do you have this
you-
information? I would.
You lost me.
Like,
I mean,
just
I
fucking
don't.
say it. Like, I'm not gonna like read. I'm the only one getting this information is from a YouTube video. Like, and like Juan already
Yeah.
kind of like went through it. Like, what the fuck?
Just go into the wiki. Go to fextralife.wiki and then you will see.
But if you
We'll
have
go
the
there
information,
right
why don't
now.
you tell it to me?
Because this is not a spoiler cast.
That's good. That's
God
that's true.
damn it. That is true. That is true. He is right about that. But yeah, like to me, as I said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes as I said, I get a little bit impatient, so I don't want to miss it. So I just want to make sure that I'm following the next step correctly. So I kind of spoil it for myself, but I don't really care because for me, this game is about the
Yeah.
exploration, the
I mean,
bosses, and everything.
it is true that the game is janky. Like Souls games have a lot of jank, so it could be that some things are bugged, and then some things don't appear when they have to, or something like that. That could happen. That's completely understandable. That's something that I completely agree that it's bullshit, and that can happen. But so far, I have never dealt with something that, like, yeah, I don't think that any of my quests was broken or anything. I do think that I was lucky that I did. The thing is, like, I did stay, and I don't know if you're doing the same, but I have read on the Elden Ring group that some people find something, some people not. Sometimes I'm looking how people are doing stuff, and I'm like, why are you doing this right now? Like, you shouldn't be there right now. How do you like? And it's not that you shouldn't, but then you run, which is the magic of this type of games, that you have your own weird experience, and then you need to be aware and accept that you're gonna miss out on some stuff, and you
Yeah.
know, and that happens. And me, which I honestly went, I did this, like I was like, you know, that those little Nokia games about the snake that
Uh-huh.
used to go like that was me on the map. I was like, I'm gonna go all the way here, then and I'm gonna go all the way back. No, it's literal, but
That's what I
how.
do. Yeah, I like
And I was
I
sweeping the map,
fully
so.
yeah, exactly. That's
And
what-
I was not moving out of somebody. Like I remember, like I was on the Stormvale Castle, which is like the first main dungeon, even though you can skip it and go to the second one if you want to. But I was doing that, and while I was doing that, I remember Christian and Carlos that were playing together. They were already like, "No, I'm already killing the Elden, whatever the fuck, then something." I was like, "But how did you pass this castle so fast? There's so much shit going on here." And I was like, "Oh, look, there's a basement. And how do I arrive to the other side of the castle? Because there's a part of the castle that you cannot really arrive,
Yeah.
and it's like a whole thing that you need to do to get to that point. And there's not really any big, good item there, but there's some messages like that, but like not from people, but like from the game that give you some context and some stuff." And I was like, yeah, it's like, wow, there's a lot that you can miss if you're not really aware.
You
Like
do.
for example, if
Well,
you use Magritte Shackle, you can reveal hidden walls, and that's something
the
that
what?
the Magritte Shackle. You have the Magritte
how
Shackle.
did you find
No.
find out about that?
That by mistake, I guess. Like I didn't knew, but I saw it on Reddit, and that's
Okay,
part of
okay.
what you say too. Like that's a good thing about these games.
But I think that's replayability value. Like
Yeah.
it's not you're
Yeah.
not meant to like figure out everything in your first run.
Exactly, unless you are a psychopath. But yeah, like yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy those games because they're hard games, not only on the difficulty, but as well on how you. That's the thing. Like games nowadays are built, and this is gonna become a praising Elden Ring again and praising From Software. I don't care. Like games nowadays are really made, or like they do it for you to like get rewarded all the time, and you need to get rewards. And if you don't get rewards, you're unsatisfied. Elden Ring or like From Software games are like, fuck you. You know, they're like a distant father. Like they're like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna give you anything. No, are you proud of me? That no, not really. You just did what everybody else did. So fuck you. Get your own reward on your own. So yeah, it's pretty abusive, but it's what makes those good really cool, I feel. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with you 90%. There's just a 10% that to me is just so random that would have never arrived to that conclusion, Like, never.
I do change the switch. I'm like you. I like to know everything and I know to go what I want. But with this type of games, I'm more like, whatever it comes. If I found this in this time, I found it. If not, well, when I replay the game, maybe I will find it. Maybe not. Like I'm like, I'm a little slut for Miyazaki. So yeah, I said I don't care. It's like do whatever you want with me. I don't care. I'm open.
That's awesome. Yeah, as long as I don't miss any trophies that I don't think I will because they're not missable.
They did it nice.
I don't mind.
This time you can. Like honestly, this time you cannot miss. If you're really looking everywhere, you will not miss anything. Like there's no missable trophies, like at all.
Yeah, and the story stuff, I'll just let Vatividya tell me the story because I don't really understand anything that's happening.
Which, by the way, a lot of Vati, it's a lot of conjunctions too. You see his video, there's a lot of like he making conjunctions of where he may think that this, which is that's the mystery around this game is what makes them so great. And look at that, we have like 30 minutes talking about Elden Ring. Should we call this Elden Ring Part 2?
Yeah, there we go.
we're not gonna do a spoiler cast because if you piece together all of the parts that we talked.
All of it.
You have it already. So we made the Elden Ring spoiler cast very From Software as well for you. Like you have to see every episode and do everything like that. Because fuck you.
Great. Yeah, that's it. Fuck you. Like, where's that meme of Miyazaki doing fuck you? Hey, can we have a lower difficulty? No.
No way.
And you know what's funny? Like I would like. I'm not even complaining about the difficulty because I love it. Like that part to me, which is the part that people complain about. To me, that's like okay, fine. But the other part is like,
where you are. Do you want a swamp level, or do you want a place where the life of the character starts going out? Yes.
Yes.
That's the answer. Yes.
Exactly. Well, boys, we've reached the end of the episode. If you like this, please subscribe, like, share it with your friends. Watch it again. Watch other episodes. We have a ton. This is episode 72, you have 71, you have 70, you have 69, you have 68, etc., etc. You also have Christian Caroli's podcast, hammerspapepodcast.com. You also have something that we're cooking, John and I, that we will announce very soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Tasty.
We'll see you next week.